Hey everyone, I am Kerry Jeffrey of Emotional Autoimmunity. And for those of you who don't know me, I'm a clinical hypnotherapist, counselor, and life coach, and I work exclusively online with my clients all around the world with my therapy programs, which are designed to help you overcome all of the often complex emotional issues that go along with living with chronic illness. And I know exactly what that's like because I live with 4 chronic autoimmune conditions myself. So yesterday I posted in great excitement about the fact that I was able to go to the library for the first time in over 7 years, and I actually borrowed books. And not only that, but I've been reading them. Like, my reading levels are back to pretty much what they've been for my life before chronic illness, because I've always been an avid reader since I was a very young girl, always had so many books on the go. And losing my capacity to read books really should have been a big clue to me that there was something rapidly happening to me and something very, very wrong. But in the growing brain fog, it kind of got lost because our conscious minds are only focusing pretty much on what we're dealing with at the moment. So as a result of that, a few people messaged me and said, well, I've got Hashimoto's as well, and I can't read, I can't focus. Like, what did you do to get this ability back? Because losing my ability to read is like losing an integral part of myself, and I really understand that. Now, what's important to know is that brain fog isn't just a thyroid thing. Most autoimmune conditions do include brain fog because most autoimmune conditions are triggered by inflammation in the body. And what has been recently discovered over the past couple of years is they used to think that the brain was sort of sealed off from the body and protected from a lot of things, but they've found this new link, and I think from memory, you might have to research this, that it's through the lymphatic system. So basically, if you have an inflamed body and you're experiencing cognitive difficulties, it's a really good sign that you have an inflamed brain as well. And when there's inflammation in the brain, that's why you can't think clearly. That's why you can experience things like dysphasia, so you substitute words for other words that you know are wrong but sound sort of similar. That's why you can't focus. That's why you find yourself reading the same thing over and over and over again. And not only that, brain fog tends to flatten you out emotionally. So it's quite a depressing experience. And by depression, I mean that you feel emotionally flat. So nothing really interests you. The things that used to interest you in the past just don't get your attention. There's no real excitement. There's no desire or motivation to do things. It can feel like you're just constantly just pushing through like mud to get stuff done. So brain fog also takes away that ability, that motivation, that interest that helps us get through life, right? That desire to do things. And then it feels even worse because you realize that you're not getting things done, and then you feel even worse than you were before. There's a very noisy plane going overhead at the moment. So what can you do for brain fog? Well, the first thing that you want to do is try whatever you can do to reduce your inflammation levels. There's a few different ways of doing this, but the most important one is emotionally, because stress creates inflammation. So stress creates triggers in the body that create inflammation. And everybody says, oh, manage stress. Well, how do you do that? Well, it's a process, it's a skill set, it's a whole new set of tools that you need to learn. And so that is basically what I do in my therapy programs, teach you how to have a new emotional framework so you've got some tools and skills to manage the thoughts and the stories that we tell ourselves about other people and our situation and what other people are thinking and all the what if stuff that comes. So managing your mind and having the right attitude, the right mindset is a very, very important part of dealing with the stress, and lowering the stress also means that you're going to be able to lower the inflammation. Now, one of the really important things you can do to help you to reduce your stress levels is rest, like real guilt-free, 100% permission to rest. And that is something that we seem to be very reluctant to give ourselves, and we'll come up with all sorts of excuses and reasons as to why other things are more important or other people are more important, and there's things that need to be done, all of that sort of stuff. You've really got to look at the stories and the thoughts and the drivers you've got as to why you can't give yourself permission to rest. And I'm not even talking about huge chunks of time. 5 or 10 minutes just sitting and allowing yourself to relax, or enjoying a really good cup of tea or coffee, or listening to some nature sounds on one of the many apps that you can get for your devices. If you really allow yourself to do it, give yourself permission to do it without any guilt, because guilt is incredibly stressful. So trying to make yourself rest while you are sitting there feeling guilty the whole time about all the things that you should be doing is not resting, right? It's just sitting still and worrying, creating a whole lot of stress for yourself. So again, your mindset is really, really important. What other things help reduce inflammation? Diet. Now, whether you believe it or not, or however your doctor says, diet doesn't matter. I can only speak for myself, but from my experience, food and diet and what I eat has made a huge difference to my recovery. And it continues to be that. It is a very, very important part of my self-care and how I manage living with multiple autoimmune conditions. So if you're going to change your diet, what you need to do is you need to have a way to evaluate your progress, right? Otherwise, that's going to create more stress. And we want to lower stress, lower inflammation. We can do things if we see the evidence that it's working. Now, what most people do is they rely on their brain to remember how bad they feel. And your conscious mind doesn't do that, right? It's only paying attention to what's immediately in front of it. So, if you've had a really bad headache, you don't spend the next few days trying to capture, how painful it was and how horrible it was. The headache's gone, so you're getting on with your life. So what you need to do before you start any sort of intervention, whether it's trying a new supplement or trying something else to help mitigate your autoimmune symptoms, you need to establish a baseline first. A baseline, all right, control group is the basis of all research. We need to have that baseline established so we can measure any progress. So you've got to write yourself a great big list of exactly how you're feeling right now, physically, energy-wise, emotional-wise, symptoms, write it all out on a piece of paper, date it, stick it away in a drawer somewhere, and then in a month's time or whenever you're sitting there thinking, oh God, this isn't working and nothing's getting better and nothing's improving, go back to your list, and that's going to give you hard evidence if it's working or not. And that's what helped me make all of the big dietary changes that I made, because I had that data, I had that baseline to measure any progress or non-progress with. So there's no good persisting in something if I can clearly see that no symptoms have changed, no energy improvement, no clarity of mind, anything like that. So anytime I'm doing anything major, I need to have that baseline established. And again, the way you think about this is going to either contribute to your stress or it's going to take away some stress. So if you see it as a loss, if you see it something that you should do or you have to do, you are going to set up a lot of resistance. You are going to be saying to yourself things like, I can never have gluten again. Like, no. You can keep eating gluten if you want. It's absolutely your choice. You have every right to do that. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't do that. You're a grown-up person. You can do within the law whatever you want. What I did was made it a choice because I wanted the potential of what was on the other side of making that sacrifice. And it is a sacrifice. So I still don't say I can never eat gluten, even though I have celiac disease. There's no gluten police that are going to hold me back from the cupboard if there's bread in there, right? It's a choice. I choose not to eat it because I know the consequences of what that's going to be like. So there's this whole lot of things that you can do. Now, if you have Hashimoto's like I do, it's really important that you have knowledge about what your thyroid levels are. We've got to establish this baseline, right? So if you're only getting a TSH test, and that is what most doctors do, that's pretty much the minimum of what they do, that's not telling you how much thyroid hormone you've actually got in your body. That's only telling you the strength of the pituitary signal to the thyroid. It is TSH is thyroid stimulating hormone. It is not a thyroid hormone. Your thyroid hormones are T1, T3, T4, calcitonin. There's something else. I used to know all of them. There's 5, but my brain doesn't need to hold on to that information at the moment. It'll pop back when it needs to. So what you need to get is a full thyroid panel, including antibodies. There are 2 antibodies for Hashimoto's and 1 antibody for Graves' disease. Some people have all of the antibodies. So get that test done. If your doctor won't do it, I know here in Australia and in Victoria, where I live, the state where I live, that you can get a naturopath to do it, though you will have to pay out of pocket. It is valuable information. If you have the option to pay and to get it done through a lab somewhere in the United States or no matter where you live, if there is an option to get it done and paid out of pocket, it is a very good investment in yourself. You need that knowledge. If you want more information about all of the thyroid hormones and all of the testing and all of that stuff, I recommend the website Stop the Thyroid Madness. I don't agree with everything that they say, the same as everything I read. I have my own opinions. I pick and choose what works for me. It is a really good place to start to get information. Now, if your thyroid levels, your actual thyroid levels, are within range, you need to look at the range because T3 is the active thyroid hormone. So if you are at the low end of the normal range, and remember, you're not being measured against healthy people, you're getting measured against all of the sick people that had that test done in that particular time frame, right? If you're at the low level, your T3, you will be feeling symptomatic. So what I'm looking for in my thyroid test when I have it done, what is optimal, I don't want normal, I want optimal. Optimal is what's given me my life back. So for me, I want to see my free T3 is at top or slightly above range. I want to see my free T4 is at mid-range, and I want my TSH to be suppressed. And there is absolute logic behind that, because if my body has all those thyroid hormones enough that it needs, then my pituitary gland does not need to keep signaling my thyroid to make more hormones. It checks in, everything's great, no need to send any signals to the thyroid. So my TSH is like 0.34, something like that. And when it first happened, I had to talk to my doctor about it, because my doctor and my naturopath were like, oh my God, now you're turning hypothyroid. Like, no, like, logically, let's think about it, right? When I started off, my TSH was 128 or something. There was no activity happening in my thyroid. Now my body has enough. Just trust me, right? I know how I feel. I know what's working for me. And so that's what we do now. That's the approach that we take. So start to educate yourself about your particular illness and what you can do. And personally, I tend to take my information from fellow chronic illness people. So whether they are an expert, whether they are a doctor, whether they're a naturopath, whether they are whatever, whether they're a very well-informed, very knowledgeable, very experienced person with the same disease as me who's done their research, then I tend to pay a lot more weight and attention to what they're saying, because they are living it, right? It's not theory for them. It is not just research for them. It is lived experience. So we are on the end of the user. You know, we are the actual users. We are the experience, having the experience of chronic illness. We understand how it impacts on us. We are the experts on us. So I would much rather pay attention to people who have knowledge, actual lived experience of what the disease is like, because your doctor is not going to get the benefit or detriment of whatever treatment they recommend. That is on you, right? That is going to happen to you, whether it's good or bad. You are the only one who can give the feedback to say, this one doesn't seem to be working for me, that one was better. And that's whether it comes to a contraceptive pill or, you know, a type of generic, where the generic brands of drugs are better for you than the name brand, right? There's a whole lot of different fillers and different things that go into different medications, right? Look for what's in the ingredients. There's a lot of hidden gluten. There's a lot of lactose in a lot of medication. So all of these things together help you feel more in control. It all comes back to reducing that stress. Stress lowers inflammation. Lowered inflammation means more energy, more awareness, more better function. And the biggest thing is mindset, having the emotional tools, and time, right? Time. We are in this for life. There is no race to the finish. It's taken me over 7 years that I can now go to the library and borrow books. And remember, back when I first got Hashimoto's and I was physically and cognitively disabled, I did not know if I would ever regain that again. Nobody could tell me. My first doctor said, this is your new normal now. This is how you're going to be. My second doctor that I still have and I love just said, it is going to be a long, slow process, Kerry. There's a lot of damage in your body and you've really got to give it time and you've got to be very patient. And it's been that process of just these things coming back and being absolutely delighted and ecstatic about it, because it wasn't like, oh, I'm doing all of these things so I can read again. No, it's like, I'm doing all of these things because I want to live as best I can, right? I want to live as best I can. And I didn't know what that would look like, and I didn't know how it was going to be. It was just, let's do everything that I can to give my body the best possible chance of healing as much as it can and looking after it and looking after me. So that's the long version of why I can go to the library now. It was a whole combination of things, right? But managing your stress is the most important thing. You need that emotional framework. You need to be able to stop those stressful thoughts and the anxiety and the depression. And if you want to do that, if you actually want to get some skills. Book your free discovery session with me now. It's available to any one of you, anywhere in the world. We meet online, on Zoom. Tell me about what's going on with you. I'll tell you about whether I think I'm the right person to help you and which of my programs that I recommend. We have a lovely chat. I don't ask for you to make a commitment or any answer on the spot. I want you to go away and think about it, because I only work with people who really want to work with me and who are prepared to do the work, because this is mostly skills based. It means you have to be willing to learn new skills and commit yourself to doing that. Right? So after we've met online, I send you an email, and once I've sent you the email with the information, I don't follow up. I leave it completely in your hands. So I hope this has been useful, and I might go and do a little bit more reading before I see my next client. So see you later, guys. Have a wonderful day. Bye for now.